months ago, I actually don't know how long ago it was, but I was introduced to a great man named Nick Lowery. And of course, for those of you that don't know, Nick was one of the best field goal kickers in the history of NFL football, right? In fact, he's on the ballot this year, I believe, to get into the NFL Hall of Fame, right? Pretty cool stuff. I mean, talk about a very, very select few that get that honor. He's already in the Kansas City Chiefs Hall of Fame, and so I was lucky to get to be able to meet Nick. And we started, building the Kannaway business together. And then I think you heard yesterday we talked about one of our portfolio companies that's in drug development, right? While the federal government was busy, passing the Marijuana Tax Act, they were also busy studying about cannabis. And the National Institute of Health made a patent that is called cannabinoids as antioxidants and neuroprotectants, right? And so one of our portfolio companies is developing a drug right now for the treatment of CTE. CTE is the disease that the football players get, the early onset of Alzheimer's disease from too many hits in the head, right? And so it was just really unique that Nick came along and wanted to be a Kannaway distributor because we were looking for a spokesperson for Kannalife, right? Who can go on the news and talk about CTE in an educated way from a credible source, right? As we get ready to take Kannalife to the next level. They've been working on Kannalife for 5 or 6 years now. They've been in drug development, and I think we're getting close to bringing a drug to market. And so we needed a spokesperson, right? And Nick was that perfect person. So you may have seen Nick on TV recently. You may have seen him on the news. And if you haven't yet seen him, you're gonna be seeing him an awful lot. Okay, he's gonna be all over the place. He's gonna be on the news. He's gonna be on all the networks. CTE is a big deal. And it's the #1 issue in NFL football. And I think Nick will tell you, it's not just NFL athletes. Like, it starts in high school, right? And it's not just for NFL, actually. It's for soccer players and lacrosse players and everybody who's in contact sports, right? This is a big deal. We want to have neuroprotection for those, sports where we're playing and we might get hit in the head. So we had this amazing opportunity to get Nick, who's extremely well spoken and very well educated, to go talk to the world on TV and educate the world about cannabinoids. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. So here's what I want all of you to do. Nick is a Kannaway distributor, and he's also the spokesperson for Kannalife Sciences. So when those articles go on the TV and in the magazine, use those in your Kannaway business. Go tell people, did you understand that Nick Lowery is a Kannaway brand ambassador as well as a spokesperson for this drug company that's owned by the parent company of Kannaway? That's an amazing story, right? So one other thing that we're working on with Nick, and I think, cat's out of the bag, I made a mistake, we're going to Las Vegas, right? But one of the things that we're working on launching in Las Vegas, actually, is Kannaway Sports. And Nick is going to be at the forefront of Kannaway Sports. We're developing a whole program around that, and that's going to be one of the centerpieces of Las Vegas, of which there's going to be many, by the way. It's going to be an incredible event. But without further ado, Nick is here. It's so funny. He just barely flew in this morning, and he just actually barely got here. He was in the elevator, and he's here now. I want everybody on their feet, and a warm round of applause for Nick Lowery.
If I get emotional, it's only because I'm collectively feeling all of your incredible hearts. And that's what I'm going to talk about today, because I had a lot of games against the Denver Broncos. And I had a lot of good games against the Denver Broncos. First thing I'm going to say is, though, I actually missed a couple. And for all of you, as you've been filled with all this information and this inspiration, just remember, the best thing you can do is make mistakes. Make mistakes, not huge mistakes, but make mistakes where you pay attention, learn, and grow. And that's what I found out. I missed 2 field goals in Denver, and I couldn't figure it out. And I realized they went over the right upright just outside. So from that point on, for whatever reason on the grass field, I aimed a little bit farther left. I never missed again. Woo! So we learned, we looked back, we look at ourselves honestly, we figure it out, we keep getting better. Keep getting better. Every staff member, Blake and Stuart, who I understand is now a rap star. Is that true? I saw that last night on the video. Yeah. And you know, it's just so exciting to combine the passion I have for my fellow teammates with you, my family, my teammates, because I'm telling you, this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. And it's because of the quality people in this room, the quality people on the staff. So, what is CTE? CTE, I witnessed through the eyes and the heart and unfortunately the head of Mike Webster, who was my teammate for the last 2 years of his career. And I remember sitting in the bus next to him, listening to him plan out the last couple years of his life in the NFL and being so excited to share with his family what he would do after football. And 10 years later, he was dead. And I don't want that to happen to anyone. Anyone seen the movie Concussion?
Yes.
So one of the great things about this company and this product is we can help autism, right, Audrey?
Yes, sir.
We can help diabetes, your friend, your wonderful friend Jody Tucker. We can help autism, and we can help, what? Alzheimer's, right, Brian Houlihan? All real-life stories. So I am so honored that we can take not only something that will help my fellow NFL players, but almost every one of you knows, what, 5, 10, 100 people that you can help? So I'm going to try to use this little thing and just tell a little story. And then one of you is going to hold for me. And I'm just going to feel it. We're going to kick a field goal and hopefully not break too much.
Oh, he's a chicken, yeah.
So, another guy I got to play with the last couple years of his career was a guy named Joe Montana. Yeah. I think the greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady, he's up there. But I got to watch this guy in person. And I wanted to make this analogy, okay? Because us NFL players, us athletes, we're so egotistical, we're so full of ourselves, we're so wrapped up in our lives. And hopefully we figure out that the joy is so much more than that. And I want to just challenge each of you. Each of you, you've heard it from Blake, you've heard it from Stuart, you've heard it from Brad, you've heard it from Randy Schrader, you've heard it from Mr. Lazard, you've heard it from, what, 50 people. Yeah. Every one of you is a leader in your own way, your own power, okay? So I just want to share this, that I learned a lesson when I made it in my first Pro Bowl, after being cut by 8 teams 11 times, how empty it was to kick the game-winning field goal in the Pro Bowl and have 17 Hall of Famers hug me. Jack Lambert, Dan Fouts, all these amazing human beings, and how empty it felt if I couldn't share it with others. And I just made a promise to myself for the rest of my life. When I went to the Pro Bowl, I'm bringing everybody I can with me, my family, my friends, the people that you know will always be there for you. So that's the big message here. We'll be winners if we remember our power, the money we make. Okay, that's great. That's only the byproduct, not of being a salesperson, but being somebody that really cares. And so I'm only a champion. Say this with me. I'm only a champion if I give power to others. One more time. I'm only a champion if I give power to others. So, where does Joe Montana come into this? Because I knew Joe Montana, as he did for us that year, would lead us down the field 2 minutes left and make incredible plays. I got to kick a couple of game-winning field goals thanks to him putting me in place. But what I did notice, and I want to really stress this for all of you, is every moment, not just on stage, right, with the spotlight, but when the spotlight's not on you, what are you doing to keep growing as a human being? And Joe Montana, this is what I learned. Joe Montana didn't just throw good passes in practice. Every practice, gotcha. Every practice, every pass was not just on target, it was perfect. I want you to understand the level of greatness that is and how we can get even better. So I want you to think about what you do when you give power to others. This is your power. This is the CBDs. This is low THC hemp CBDs that will help 1,000 different things. And when you give it, it's like Joe Montana. I want it to feel like that for you. I want you to remember this moment and say, back in Denver, I remember Joe Montana and Nick Lowery reminding me I can be that same person and give that power right into the heart of the next person. Does that make sense? That's what he did. And that's what he did. And what's so awesome is, great memory for me, speaking of Denver. I'm going to pat myself on the back here in a second. We're playing our first big game against the Denver Broncos. And it's John Elway, who's from Denver here. Stanford graduate, one of the greatest of all time. Killed us a bunch of times, I will say that. Against Joe Montana. But guess what happened in that game? Huey Lewis was Joe Montana's friend from San Francisco. He's on the sideline next to me when I kick in the net before I go out. And he's next to me as he watches me kick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 field goals in that game. And about the 5th one, I get next to the net, he goes, man, it's kind of easy for you, isn't it? But it was only easy, why? Because Joe Montana and Marcus Allen and Derek Thomas and all my teammates put me in that place. And so every game, Joe Montana might be the winner, or it might be Nick Lowery, or it might be Derek Thomas. Every game's going to be, every game's going to be different. And we're preparing. I believe I'm here to help us become a Super Bowl team because we are stepping into dangerous territory. We are changing the world, are we not?
Yep.
We are, and we're going to shake up what many people think will be 40% of the pharmaceutical base in the world because those pharmaceutical products are crap, aren't they not? So anyway, let's start with opioids.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So here's where we are. Great heroes of ideas, because we're in that room right now. You can start with the wheel or paper, say to Isaac Newton. I'm actually distantly related to Isaac Newton, which most people will find hard to believe because my brain's not always there. Thanks to CBDs, it's here more often. The printing press, the light bulb, the telephone, relativity, as powerful as that was in a negative way, penicillin and a health development, all of these different examples. Of course, the iPhone. And then we have Galileo. You know the story of Galileo, who actually upset our paradigm, our way of seeing the world. He said, the world is not what the universe revolves around, it's the sun. And he was literally threatened with death. I'm not saying we're going to be threatened with death, but we have to be prepared to be attacked. And the only way we do that is not by being negative, but by being the same empathetic, caring people who just educate ourselves. There's so much great stuff coming out right now, isn't there? Yeah. Amazing. I want to call out Audrey, I call her the doctor, but all of you, the way she educates herself, it is every second you spend doing that will help you. Randy Schrader, you've been great at helping people understand that process. So that's it right there. We will break the mold. We will create a new generation of health in the world that will save football players like Mike Webster, future Mike Websters, maybe even your sons and daughters who want to play sports, not just football, by being disciplined, by educating, by loving the work, and never forgetting this. Connect with the heart, right, brother? I met you in Scottsdale, I remember.
Yeah.
Hockey.
Yep.
Right? All right, so just a reminder. What happens when we get the ego out of control? If you've read A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, you know that the spirit and the ego are always competing. The ego is great for comparing ourselves as we grow up, especially developing a strong identity. The ego is great for setting goals. But just remember, we're all leaders, right? What happens to all of us, the kicker in all of us, if it isn't what happened to me at the Quick Trip store in 1992 and 1998, 2 different times. 1992, I went on to the Pro Bowl. It was a great year. Late in the season, I'm 22 for 23, NFL records for percentage. I go into the Quick Trip store to get some eggs and some orange juice, and the lady behind the counter goes, "Hey, I know you. I know you. You're Nick Lowery, the kicker." "Yeah, I saw you miss that field goal."
No.
What is wrong with you? My grandma could have made that kick. The people that have led this conference and lead this team, Michael Yemis and Blake and Brad and all of the great people behind this company, okay? They have to get their dose of that quick trip, where they've done everything right, and yet somebody out there who's uneducated, who's not used to holding and being accountable and owning their lives, will give them a dose of this. It's just part of it. So pack that away, and when it happens, say, oh, you know what? That's not a sign I'm doing badly. That's a sign I'm doing really well. Right? Right?
They're watching.
Yeah.
Amen.
All right.
They're paying attention.
All right, so here's the other thing. When you are, my whole family, have you had this experience too? Everybody in your family's like, cannabis,
Yeah.
marijuana, it's a gateway drug, you know, oh my God.
Drug dealer.
And it's so personal, right? So I want to emphasize, this is actually from a Nazi rally, and there's one guy, who's going, I'm not so sure. Right? I'm not so sure. Be that guy, be that gal, be that woman, be that man, be that gentleman, be that lady, be that leader. Right?
Yeah.
It stands up even when there's a media thing that says this isn't true and this isn't accurate. Just keep educating yourselves, stay calm, stay poised, and remember the people you're loving and helping. Brian Houlihan's father was bent over halfway in bed, 18 hours a day?
Oh.
Imagine watching your dad. I'm sorry, Brian, but it's just so real to me. My mother had dementia. You know, every day seeing that and pouring in maybe even $1 million to try to help him with the best neurologist anywhere. And guess what? The neurologist couldn't do anything. And in 8.5 months, his father's standing up. His father gets out of bed. He dresses himself again. He feeds himself again. So these are miracles. And I tell, when I do these interviews, and boy, what a great introduction, Blake. Thank you, brother, for all the great things you said. And Uncle Brad, it's not for you anymore, but I got something for you. But just remember, the courage it takes to stand against all the other people, and they're less and less of them, by the way, aren't there? There are less and less of those people, and say, we know the truth. Yeah. And we know the truth because we live it every day, okay? So, and what happens is, boy, your character, your backbone, everything in your soul, when you see, as I've seen, people healing. I have a friend of mine, Chris, he's in Iowa. He had a severe bike accident. His email was migraines24-7@gmail. I said, put that salve on your forehead, put it on your neck. Let's get you on one of the products. And now he emailed me 2 days ago. He said, it's now pain doesn't bother me anymore at gmail.com. So I'm just going to say, one of the other things is, remember as you build your team, right? Quality people, people that follow through, and when they make a mistake, they own it, they correct, they get better, and remember, none of us is perfect. Byron White, my next door neighbor, Supreme Court Justice. See if you can find a person like that. University of Colorado, right? One of the greatest running backs in history, happened to also be a Supreme Court Justice. And I was lucky enough to live next door to him. Did he talk a lot? No. He simply, with Bobby Kennedy, simply commandeered the school buses to get the marchers in Selma, Alabama, safety so they could march. He simply did what was necessary. And he was a different kind of mentor. We may have those that just raise our bar by being around people that are thick, that big. That's when I started to think, NFL. I'm in a little private school in Washington, D.C. NFL. Why not? Why not Harvard? Why not?
That's right.
You know? Surround yourself with those people. You know what it's like? They bring up your energy and build your team. Some of them just need a little encouragement. Dick Johnson was the one that helped me realize the mental side of kicking. Everything in our mind and our passion to be focused and consistent is everything. I'm in a new movie now, and I really think it could be a good thing for our team. It's called Think and Grow Rich, The Legacy.
Yeah.
You see more. And it's all about this, the passion, how beautiful it is, and how naturally those mentors and friends will come in your life. They'll just jump out like you two did on the cruise. God bless you. God bless you people. Just a big-hearted love you. I'd kiss you right now if I could. All right. Now here's another example. Joanna Hayes. Here's the other thing. When we put out good energy, what happens? Joanna Hayes had not run in 2 years. She worked for Jackie Joyner-Kersee, one of the greatest runners and athletes ever, female runners, incredible athlete. And Joanna Hayes came and helped our Native Vision program, which is for Native youth across the country. And she simply told these little Apache and Navajo kids on the White Mountain Apache Reservation, and you can see the video, it's narrated by Robert Redford, it's wonderful. We're now in our 22nd year. She just said, never give up on your dreams. Never. Never give up on your dreams. So, there was a big forest fire that year. We're driving back in these little school buses, and I was sitting next to two 7-foot NBA players, by the way. I mean, all these people crammed on these little school buses. And here's little Joanna Hayes saying, you know, a 14-year-old Apache girl said to me, what happened to your dream? What's your dream? And Joanna Hayes said, you know, she really caught me up. And I started thinking, my dream was to win an Olympic gold medal. 6 months later, she called me up. She said, I'm training again. It feels right. Did not talk to her again for a year. I'm in the basement of my Kansas City Chiefs house, downstairs, and watching the Athens Olympics. And there's the Canadian favorite for the 100-meter hurdles. There's the Russian second favorite, and then there's an American who kind of looks familiar, but not so sure. First, third hurdle, the Canadian trips a little bit, so now it's between the Russian and the American, and the American's just gliding. The Russian slightly hits the hurdle on the 8th hurdle. The American breaks through, and I'll never forget this. Braided hair, light-skinned African-American lady, just graceful like a gazelle. She looks over, and it flashes Olympic record 12.38. She breaks down on the track, takes off her sunglasses. Who was it? Joanna Hayes. Every one of us is going to have those breakthrough incredible moments now because we gave something to somebody else, right? And it's going to be different for every one of us. I just want you to know it happens to me all the time now. That's why I get so emotional, because it is so real. So remember that. Every one of you will have those moments. Just keep your heart and your head aligned in the right direction. All right? And on tough days, you're going to have that family around you to support you. Right? Our team does. When we have problems, we get together. We help each other out no matter what. We make time. Final example, San Carlos Apache football team. Now you're speaking to people that really want to hear what you have to say. These kids are 14. They're beautiful. They're wearing white jerseys, black helmets. They're 0-6. They've lost the last 4 games. 48-0, 38-10, 28-0, and 20-0. And Mary Kim Titlow, who was a reporter for NBC there and is the director of the largest Native American program. Any Native Americans in this room? God bless you.
Yes.
I want to talk about a tradition with hemp, by the way. Thank you. And Mary Kim said, will you come speak to this team? I said, sure. So I go down there, and this is all I said. This is all I said. When you speak from authenticity, right? And they wanted to hear. I just said, this is it. I see more talented NFL players, stronger, faster, more talented, every year that never play down. The guys that make it are the ones that are more focused and bring their passion, all their passion to the moment. That's it. They love the preparation, and they bring it to the moment. I said, for the next 2 hours, do something more than you've ever done your whole life, and just bring all your passion and your focus to this game, one play at a time. Now, most of you know football. In 11 plays, I had witnesses to this. My friend Jessie Coulter, the wife of Waylon Jennings, was with me, and she witnessed this, and Mary Kim witnessed it. In 11 plays, that team that hadn't won any games, that winless team, scored 3 touchdowns. Oh. In 11 plays. They won that game, they didn't lose again. How about that? Yeah. Woo. And then Mary Kim calls me up because there were only like 22 players on the team, and 16 were on the basketball team. And that basketball team, 5 months later, she calls me up and says, I don't know what happened, but we just finished the regular season undefeated. So, was that my power? No! It's just helping others see it, right? Others that may not want to see it, may not know what to see, may think they're seeing something else, and we help them see it. And then suddenly they feel power like they've never felt before, because it's not just about them, it's about who they can help. You guys get this. You guys get this so well. So, we're going to set goals, aren't we? And they're going to be specific. As the kicker, I practice at an 8-foot target. The goalposts are 18 feet wide. When you go out there in front of 80,000 people in a stadium, suddenly they look like tweezers. And suddenly someone else can use the shrink too, I think. But you trust your preparation. I remember running out and this little voice going, I hate my job. What am I doing? But I also, the other stronger voice, because I love the preparation, was trust my preparation. Yeah. You know, and my preparation was, while I'm practicing, it's like a game. Just like Joe Montana. It's like a game. Take yourself seriously. Please. This is the time. I don't care what happened the last 80 years of your life, the last 20, whatever it is. Take yourself seriously. There's greatness in every single one God put it in you. It's going to happen for you. All right. So there it is. And the field conditions might be terrible, but you'll be ready. So remember the San Carlos Apache football team. Passion and focus, because what's our power if it isn't to heal? And is there any better power in the world than to heal? To heal people in a way that have been told they have no hope. How about that? Even better than that. To change the world. I'll leave you with this. One of my favorite quotes, many of you have heard it, from Teddy Roosevelt. But before I do, when I do bullying programs, we're going to have powerful entities that will attempt to bully us with money, with advertisements, with disinformation. I'm just saying, there'll be lots of good news too, don't get me wrong. But be prepared like you're going out for a big football game and be ready for that. And remember, what happens to one of us happens to all of us. We are one big family. Let's be connected. When human beings are on the same page, the power, like that San Carlos Apache team, is so incredible. It is more than anything you've ever experienced. I know why, because I never thought I could make it in the NFL. I was cut 11 times. I never thought I would make it, let alone set the all-time record for most field goals and most accuracy. If you'd asked me that before I'd started, I would say, well, that would be nice, but, right? We are capable of so much if we love it. So here's my quote. It's not the critic who counts. It's not the critic who counts. It's the man or woman who's actually in the arena, who's covered with dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who comes short again and again, maybe a short field goal here or there. But in the end, they know the value, they know the triumph of high achievement. And at least, if they fail, at least fail while daring greatly. So they will never be lost. Like all those people outside this room who will never know the joy of victory. God bless you. We are a winning team, and I need somebody who I prefer. You know, Brad, I'm feeling you, buddy. Last time you came, come up and hold for me. Everybody in the audience.
Yeah, Brad.
This is our year. This is your year. Discipline, focus, passion, and empathy. All right, brother. All right. Where do you want me to kick it? All right. You better get over here. Okay, so Blake said he took out insurance. All right, so I'm just gonna tap it.